Oh man, this is gonna be fun. What's going on, everyone? Good afternoon. We're starting a little late today. I have a special guest with us, Mr. Southpaw Brad, and of course Pickles. He is continuing his Sunday afternoon. I wish my Sunday afternoon would end. I am so hungover. It's not even funny. But it was a good time visiting some folks and all that good stuff. But what's going on, fellas?
So you're saying you don't want to go for drinks after this?
I don't ever want to see a drink.
What did you drink? What were you drinking?
Oh, I don't know. What was it? Tequila, more tequila?
You always say that doesn't treat you right, and yet you still keep going back. You still keep going back to her.
I mean, it's she's a good time, at the time, and then
just throw a little shot of water in there too.
shot
every once in a while.
I can't do that, man. Like her whole family make fun of me. They'll be like, "Oh,
just pre-fill up a bottle of like silver, like Blanco tequila with water, and set it off to the side with a little like pen mark on it or something. Be like, I want that tequila over there. Give me that one every once in a while."
And then they drink it out of the bottle and realize, yeah.
Man, Ferd, you're really going to town on that tequila.
That's why you have to, because it's her family that keep feeding you drinks, shots, and stuff.
Actually, they were being pretty nice to me this weekend. I, for some reason, just picked up the bottle and started pouring them myself. So I've no one to blame except for myself. But it's fine.
Well, the best thing I ever did was implement a no shot rule when I go out, and I'll just drink beers and just keep it steady. But like when everybody else is doing shots, I'm just like, I'm good. Oh, I already bought it. I'm like, enjoy. I mean, I'm just like, I'm sticking.
Save it for later, I guess.
Yeah. I'll break down and do it every once in a while, but that's the best thing I ever do. It's been a long time since I felt bad the next morning after going through all that.
Doc Joe in the house. Yeah. No homeless characters in this show today. He's actually working, took over a shift for someone. So no streets of New York City today. No Aki Way, no nothing. Sorry.
I thought about wandering around outside just walking around the neighborhood while we were doing this, but I didn't want to go that far to play out a joke. So
yeah, you can't. That's not your. What do the kids call it? It's not your brand.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
It's
cool.
super windy here today, so if we were walking around,
it was
walking around, you just hear the wind.
It's been windy here too. We had a hailstorm blow in like a couple days ago, just like crazy weather going on. And it was kind of cool today, but tomorrow it's going to be highs like 75 tomorrow. That's shorts and flip-flop weather for you guys, isn't it?
That's like
dead of summer.
That's like perfect golfing weather right there. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go out golfing.
Yeah. Kind of a short show today. Obviously, you can tell by my face I'm hurting right now, but I'm powering through for the people and all that.
I thought your camera was messed up, but you actually are green. Like I can see that.
You should have seen me last night. Holy cow, man! I don't remember getting in the car and going up to our room. I remember is like, oh, we're about to leave, yada yada, and then I woke up in the middle of the night and I had to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't get out of the bed, and I rolled over my wife. I didn't like. Yeah, I don't know.
He's like,
you guys don't want to see me drunk either. I mean, Jason's seen me drunk many times, but
yeah, I've carried you before.
Yeah. Anyway, so back to the show.
Carried you drunk.
Yeah, we're glazing over that a little too quickly. I feel like firemen's carry him. Did you have to fireman carry him or?
Yeah, he would. Like, I don't even remember. Christ. Oh, I think you were on my back. I think he was piggybacking on me. Wow, this is on his 21st birthday. Actually, by the way, we went down to Seattle, and he was on my back, and I was carrying him through one of like the busiest areas of Seattle while he was yelling F the Huskies on my back because he was the Cougar. I'm like, yo, dude, there's no Cougar fans around here, man. You are solo.
Yeah. Bring him
you
on.
are in Husky territory.
Hey man, I was 21.
I did say I would drop you if somebody came after us, though. I was like, yeah, you're on your own if somebody comes after us.
You're such a dick. Anyway, yeah, I couldn't really think of a huge title or like market thing to do this week, but I was kind of, everyone loves your story, Jason, you fucking asshole. Anyway, I was thinking of like, so I mean, I kind of explained like kind of what I'm doing as like a collector, investor, whatever you want to call it. And I mean, literally, I really only want like maybe 50 slabs at the most. And that's it. I don't really want to have a ton of like books, you know, as far as investment. I looked at my slabs in the past. And I'm just like, why did I get this autographed? Or like, why did I get this like, you know, why did I get this slabbed in general? And whether it be for a flipping situation or I liked the book at that time, but now I really don't dig it or whatever. You know, I just, you know, thought about use those kind of like ideas in my head and be like, oh, I'm gonna list this on eBay and just get rid of it or give it away on the show, you know, that kind of thing. It may be valuable to someone else, but like for me, I just kind of want to keep the ones that like I really want to hold on to. I mean, you guys kind of feel that same way. I don't know. Do you guys feel that same way nowadays?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Jason, you were talking about getting rid of some stuff today.
Yeah, I just am starting to. It's to the point now where I need to truncate it down to stuff that I either like want personally for the long haul or like, hey, this is like a solid investment and I don't mind hanging on to it for X amount of years, like 10 plus years or something like that type of deal. And I'm just kind of, I was just sifting through some of the stuff and like kind of making two piles of what I want to keep and what I'm willing to get rid of to maybe upgrade and get something else. Cause I've been looking much harder these days at some other big books that I've been really wanting. And just kind of pricing those out and seeing like what I can get rid of to buy X or whatever.
Right. And Brad, I don't know if you're kind of in the same boat, but what are your thoughts on that kind of
I've been, well, I won't mention the videos I sent you because it's such a sore spot for you, but I'd sent some, an interesting, perspective on collectibles and investing in collectibles, and that has really kind of adjusted the way. I mean, I'm still buying stuff that I can read, you know, stuff that's coming out now. I've liked, dude, I just picked. I feel like I was lucky. No, it's not. I don't know how they determine what the most desirable cover is nowadays, but I finally got a chance to read the Avengers Twilight. Man, that was fantastic, dude. So I'm still buying stuff that I like to read, but it's more. I'm trying not to. I'm not buying 10 copies of a book because I think it might hit, and because you start thinking, oh well, it's only if you get 35% off, it's only X amount per book, but then you start thinking about, all right, well that's, you know, 60 or 70 bucks I could have, you know, put towards something. So I've started saving and looking at and just kind of looking at pricing for, hey, maybe a 6.0 or a 6.5 of this Silver Age key is something I would be intrigued by. So I've kind of just started saving that, and maybe, you know, like having to adjust your brain to think like, you know, a 6.5 or a 7.0 or whatever of an older book that's a key is a good grade for that book. So I have kind of shifted. Yeah, I have kind of shifted a bit. Not as much of that crazy, you know, that crazy movie spec that doesn't pan out because they're going to change the character anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And then
I was gonna say he mentioned that Avengers Twilight. Like when you guys read that, like because we're all like over 40 at least. Like, did it give you like vibes of being grumpy old men, being like, that's true? Like, because I was reading that thing and I was like, goddamn young kids, like freaking up everything. Tony Stark kid is an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, totally.
It's they're all the same superheroes that we grew up with, but now they're just like old.
Yeah, it was
I was
funny
like,
how
is
they
that
make
Luke
Kamala
Cage?
Khan
I'm
older
like,
too.
damn, man.
Yeah,
And Chip Zdarsky is really on his game right now. He's
Oh,
he's
he's
hitting on all cylinders right now.
Yeah,
So
for my
amazing.
money, he's like one of the top writers in the game right now.
Yeah,
Like I don't think I've read anything that he's done that I'm just like, like I didn't like it.
yeah. Wade, I read this already, and I had the trade paperbacks for him, but oh shoot, it was optioned. Sex criminals or something.
Yeah.
Is that the name of the book? That was awesome. Like, if you want just kind of a modern kind of like take at a really weird concept for superpowers, I guess you'd call them, and done a really well way with kind of like a little bit of intrigue, I guess. It's a really cool trade paperback. But yeah, Chip Zdarsky, I mean, he's kind of what I think everyone hoped Donny Cates was gonna be right now. And like Jason was saying, or Pickles was saying, like, yeah, he's on his everything he touches lately is just really good. And I think it's so funny because, you know, last year comics just weren't hitting it for things. There was all these dumb, like, you know, little mini series, and they're making characters a different way, however that may be. Obviously the shows weren't hitting, or the movies weren't hitting at very, you know, as well as they did in the past. And there's a lot of like negativity, you know, for a good reason. You know, not always in that negativity, I'd say just like, damn, like, what do I read? You know, how many times in our Discord do I say, hey, what are you guys reading? And I'm just really curious, right? And you know, the Ghost Rider stuff was pretty cool. I thought it was dope. And you know, but like this January or 2024 just started off with a bang, and it keeps going. There's more resources to get, like, you know, to read stuff out there. He's not, I don't know if he's in the chat, but Comics and Tortillas has been putting out some really good videos on, you know, books you can just read up on. But yeah, with that, yeah, it's just going to show. So kind of going back to the theme of the show, I was just thinking of like, okay, what else is pretty cool to like hold on to, or to like hunt for? Like, what gets me like hunting out in the wild, whether that be in the back issue pins or just like, you know, Jason's always out for a first appearance of Swamp Thing or first appearance of John Constantine. There's a lot of stores that maybe don't have that, right? So we're, you know, privy to going online. I also think it's cool to look at like really high-end rare comic books, or just books that have a backstory of like, this is why the cover is like this. And some of these books I'm gonna go over today with you guys. They may not be worth a lot of money, but they're just things that I just thought of. And then at the end of the show, I kind of want to get what your guys' takes as far as like rarer or like, you know, variant type books. This is a little bit heavier on the rarer side versus like the basically like hard to get, like this. There shouldn't have been this many copies that came out, that type of thing. So yeah, and all the prices I found for these are pretty on key with what the market's going on right now. So if you guys are on the hunt for any of these books in the chat, yeah, don't overpay, all that good stuff. And let's get into it. I just want to real quick thank Brad and Pickles, obviously, for coming through the show today. We got 15 live. I want to thank everyone for coming through. Do hit that like button, subscribe. We're almost to 600. Yeah, I think we're at 48 or no, 38 more. We'll be at 600. So pretty cool stuff.
That's amazing. In less than a year.
It actually last week was our quote unquote full year type since we've been doing this. So yeah, we hit the year last year. Jason almost threatened to kill me a few times throughout for various other reasons than this show. So it's actually pretty surprised we actually made it this far alive.
That's 1 year of my Sundays that I can't get back.
And what was the original name?
What was the original name? The original name of the show? What was it? What was it, Jason?
It was Final Fantasy VII Fried Chicken Pumpkin Pie and Soda, I think, or something like that.
That rolls right off the tongue. That
the first video was
the lights last night. No, what lights? What lights? Do you know, Jason? Do you know what he's talking about?
Mm-mm.
Oh, Nathan, describe what lights are you talking about? What's up, JT? Oh, Fedora is here. He's working. We miss you, Fedora. We wish you were here. Oh yeah, and if we get 35 live, which I don't know if we'll get today, but just for fun, I have this Spider Boy variant, second variant, and this little Star Wars book. I need 35 live to give those ones away. So hopefully we let everyone know coming through. We'll give it a while until we go into that. Digger Jim, what's going on? I think I watched your video. I couldn't finish the whole thing. What's that?
I was just saying, hey to Digger Jim.
Oh, yeah, he had a pretty cool video that I didn't watch the whole thing, but I have to rewatch it. He just posted it to his YouTube show. But yeah, thanks for coming through.
And that metal detecting is it's really interesting. I like history, so when he goes out and does the metal detecting and stuff, and like finds some interesting stuff, like relics and buttons from like Civil War costume, outfits and stuff. It's really, really neat.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out, man.
I remember, speaking of Civil War, I remember my a buddy of mine, his wife's dad had this from their house. It was like a secret passage, like a secret door that opened and you went under, and it went underneath their driveway into a museum that he had built for like his war relics. Like he had all these like Civil War uniforms and stuff like on mannequins in there with like all these like guns and rifles from past wars, and he had like French officer uniforms from like World War II or something like that. And
holy cow.
I can't remember exactly what they were, but it was crazy. I was just like, dude, he has a museum in his house, or like across from his house with a secret passage to get to it.
Wow,
that's creepy. I mean, creepy.
He used to own remember Pacific Trading Cards?
Yeah,
yeah.
He was the owner of that.
Wow, man! I bought
Trading Cards was like
ton of those freaking things.
You could have bought it like from the source. It was like right near Jason's house.
I was so hopeful. I don't even know if there were any decent rookies in that first year, but I bought a ton of that stuff, and I'm like, wow, it just keeps showing up. There's more and more boxes, and there was just a ton of that stuff out there.
Oh, and the bad Brad evidently in our Discord. Brad
I know that was. I think Cody coined Selden
the bad Brad.
I think that was a Cody thing. That's
Cody's gonna take over the Discord, man. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure most of you guys know these books, but if any of them kind of like surprise you or whatnot, yeah, just let me know.
I'm wondering if one of my favorites for this topic is going to be on your list or not.
There may be a Spawn book here. I don't know, but starting off this
definitely not a little.
Starting off this one here, Cyberpunk 2077. I think this is a 1 in 25 ratio variant. I am like very high on the Cyberpunk 2077 spec. The game's pretty cool. I actually ended up playing like a demo part of, or not demo, but I played a little bit of it. I haven't gone way into it, but essentially it reminds me a lot of like Grand Theft Auto, but with like cyberpunk type stuff. The cool thing about the property too is there's actually a really cool show that's kind of an offshoot. It's not like the main world of Cyberpunk 2077, but I've been picking up the Dark Horse regular versions or regular copies of this. I've been picking up the PS4 sealed versions if I can. I've got the PS5 sealed. I think I'm good there. I may go pretty deep and get like the console and try grading that. I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but we'll see. I don't know. For some reason, this really intrigues me as a collectible kind of subject because they already have the show. There's talks of having a movie or some type of live action series. The video game's actually like gone out pretty well. But as Chungy posts in our little chat here, 29.8 out of 27 on the census for this variant. I wouldn't personally, if I was going to invest in this book, I wouldn't buy it raw. I'd want a 9.8 just because it's a modern book. I can't find listings for this book or sales for this book graded or raw under $1,000. This is the past like 3 months or so, and I've been looking for this book. Wasn't sure exactly how the distribution worked for this book, but have you guys? I'll start with Brad here. Brad, do you follow this subject property at all, or is this kind of like, oh, I've heard about it, but I'm not really into it?
I don't personally, but I feel like I do because I follow you, and you like. I'm so glad you're not into you're into comic books and not heroin, because I would be we'd have to do an intervention at this point, because you like climbed on the roof of your house and did a cannonball in the pool of Cyberpunk 2077 because you were like all in on this stuff.
I really am.
You were all in on it. I mean, I think it's interesting, and I do like the idea of the video game comics and video game property, and I like your idea of like if you have, pairing those things somehow, and but that is, it seems like that one's that'd be a little rich for my blood for that, because like is it? You're tracking it. I mean, do you think this is at an all-time? Well, I don't know. I won't say all-time high, but where does this $1,000 for a 9.8 rank as far as like? And when did this come out?
This book came out while I was still in the office, so I think it was like in 2020 at least. I don't know the exact time, but I've only been tracking this variant probably actually for a couple years, but like. There was a huge gap in between. I was looking up the actual sales because I was just like, when I first saw it, I was like 1,300. Like, what the hell? I'm not. There's no way I value it at 1,300. And then when I played the game, read the book, and all that, and kind of a little bit, I'd say Fedora kind of like pushed me a little bit towards that as well, in a good way. I think. Oh, buy-in from Dark Horse was $50 for this book. So, but yeah, I mean that the most recent 9.8 sale I saw was like last November, but I haven't seen any 9.8 sales since. And, based off what Chunky said, there's not a lot of them out there. I know there's a lot of hope for like Keanu Reeves being like the star of this series, but I mean, who knows? He's quite a bit older. So like, I don't know how much time he has to do all these different subjects that he's rumored to be behind. And Jason, man, like, I feel like this is a game that we would have played like when we were younger, like together. You know what I mean? Just like knowing what you like in video games and whatnot. But have you played the game? I doubt you have, but have you played?
Yeah,
you have?
I bought it. I owned it since day one. Yeah.
Oh, just kidding.
But the thing is so when it first came out, everybody was like bitching about the bugs and this and that, and like, it's so glitchy and this and that.
Yeah.
I never experienced any of that, but I got sidetracked in the game, so I basically like stopped playing it for. I mean, I haven't picked it back up since probably the first couple of months that it was out. Just because they were like doing all their bug fixes and this and that. It got annoying because every time I'd freaking turn the thing on, it had this huge update and it would take freaking an hour and a half for it to be ready and this and that. So I just kind of fell by the wayside. I was like, I'll come back to it once they fix everything. Mm-hmm. And then now they have, but I haven't gone back to it because I'm trying to finish off other games and then throw it into the rotation. So,
but see, here's the
thing. It'll probably
like,
be one of the next games I play.
Yeah. And like, I mean, that's kind of why I am kind of high on this game too, because what Jason basically just said, I haven't heard of a game where they put so much money into this game. Vinny talked about it in one of our shows. Launched it, horrible like response and like bugs galore, and then revamped it again. So they went back to the well, fixed it, spent a whole bunch of money, and now it's and video game players have gone back to the subject. So it's like a lot of people want this to be successful for the organic reasons, right? They want the game to be successful because of the cool subject and all that. So that's why I'm high on it.
Second chance at success in video games, like usually it's a kind of seems like a fickle crowd. Where I know when I played, if you if we got a bad taste in our mouth about the game and the play and all that stuff, we never. I mean, it was just that bad publicity you just couldn't come back from.
Yeah.
So they're fortunate they had a second chance at success.
Yeah, well, and I mean that's a big gamble, like money wise too.
Well, and this game was like super hyped up because of the developer behind it as well, because it was like the first new outside of The Witcher games for CD Projekt Red. And those games were so highly acclaimed and people just love the shit out of those and replay them all the time. Like people that like The Witcher, they replay those games all the time. I've got The Witcher 3. I've got the third Witcher, but I haven't. I dabbled with it a little bit, but I haven't like played much of it yet. It's another one of those games like Cyberpunk that I got to come back to. But yeah, I just remember it was super hyped up because of the studio as well. And then people were. It was like one of those things where it came out and people were super disappointed, trashed it via the comments section, but they were so invested in it, like they fixed it.
Yeah, I mean, and
have like an expansion to it now. I think they had another a first expansion to the game that you can add on.
Yeah, and so I mean, like it brings like not just comic book collectors but video game collectors into it too. So again, but like what Brad said, it's a tough buy-in to like hope it goes up in value. I think this for me would be more of a like, I think it'll hold value at 1,000, and I'm cool with that. Like if I were to buy it, that kind of thing. But yeah, next slide. I'm sure you guys know about this book. It's the Wolverine number 145. Sorry, Clawbone variant. Now, evidently, this was a printing error. Is that right? Do you guys know about this book? Sorry.
Yeah, no. I think McClay just talked about it on their show the other night.
Oh, really? Oops! I didn't know. I didn't even know they had it on there.
I mean, yeah. Somebody mentioned like it seemed like this book popped up on a couple of shows this week, and it's like, hey, really? when you're looking at rare books, you're gonna cross streams a little bit with the books you're looking at. So,
man, I had no idea. I wasn't able to watch any of McClay's shows this weekend. I just was out of town. So, well, I guess if you're watching, if you saw McClay's show or any of those shows, this is probably a repeat. But Jason, have you heard about this book before?
I mean, I didn't really know much about it until kind of it started popping back up recently with obviously with the Deadpool stuff. Like a lot of Wolverine books are starting to surface.
That's probably why, right? Yeah. But so evidently, there's flecks of silver, silver specks on the claws of Wolverine here. It's kind of an interesting backstory as far as like a print error type deal. This book doesn't go for sale very often. I feel like I would never buy this book raw. Like if I were to, quote unquote, invest in it. I've seen this book go for as much as $5,000. One sold the other day for $2,000. I think that was a 9.8. I don't know how you grade this though as a 9.8 because it's an error print. So it's like, and so like, yeah, I mean, other than the printing or whatever, but I mean, look at this. Chunky saw one sell for 2021, a 9.6 went for. I mean, that's the height of the pandemic and all the craziness, but like, holy shit! So this book has dropped down quite a bit. I don't know if like. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so if CGC, if it was an error at the printer, they wouldn't consider that as a defect. Then is that? You think that's how they're doing a 9.8 then?
Yeah, and it's like you're probably right. I just wonder like do they consider the speckles like a like
manufacturing errors? What?
Well, it's kind of like it's like a book with overspray. Like it's not a defect.
Yeah. And I just wonder if it's like consistent with each one of the errors. I don't know. That was kind of what I was trying to allude to. Like, is it the same printing error with each book, or is it like there's a little bit of silver on the top on this one, there's a little bit of silver on the bottom, that kind of thing? Because I feel like that can kind of complicate the grading of the book. So So CGC calls it a manufacturing error.
That'd be
Evidently,
chunky. Do you know if that's do they state that on the label for at CGC?
that's a good point. That's a good question. I didn't read the CGC deal, but it says it was printed without the foil. Okay. I know it looks like almost bone white is kind of what the it's on the label. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't remember what the 2K I saw. Yeah, sorry, it was a 9.8. I mean, I'm sorry guys. I'm so out of it right now, but anyway, Collab 1 variant. We'll just go on to the next one. I'm sorry, that was a shitty that was a shitty
No, man. No, not at all. I mean, it's interesting. Well, what it tells me is that people are seeing these sales and they're reporting it on their shows. I mean, there's going to be some overlap there, but I think this is interesting to track. I mean, it would still God, even I don't know, man. I guess I'm cheap or something. It'd be hard for me to a printing error. It'd be hard for me to drop even this latest sale that you saw, even though it's significantly less than that 9.6 sale. I mean, it would be really tough for me to. There again, I mean, based on our conversations we've had in the last month, just what else could I? $2,000, Jason. What would you spend? I mean, if you had $2,000, you're not buying this over like a Constantine first appearance or something. No. I mean, I would much rather have that Swamp Thing book than this.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of stuff you can buy for
$2,000.
Two of those Cyberpunk books.
And that's like an investment kind of like, right? And I guess like as a Wolverine collector, like that wouldn't really it would be too risky for me to like what Jason was saying earlier, like he's cool with holding some books for like 10 years. I don't know if I would assume that this would be I would assume that people would still know of this book being a valuable like key, quote unquote, but I don't know if this is considered like this will grow in price 3% every year for the next 10 years. I don't know.
Ferd, wouldn't you be scared? The day after I bought this thing, somebody would find a case of them in a warehouse somewhere. I mean, I would just be scared that there's that every example has not been, found. It might be a warehouse somewhere or a printer that printer that shut down or shipped them somewhere or accident. There's a lot of stuff can happen. You find a case of these or a pallet of these things sitting around. It's all over but the crying then.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's an excellent point. I didn't even think of really. And I think that's what kind of the point with what Phil, I really like what Phil says here. Error variants are cool, but they're impossible to price really because there's no real like factual data about them, that we can look up. And even the stuff that we can look up, we don't even know if it's real. So there's no like great first appearance. The other reason I wouldn't spend $2,000 on this book is like, other than the uniqueness of the printing error, the cover's just like, it's a basic Wolverine cover. I don't know. That's how I feel about it. But what up, Paul in 619, my Filipino brother? How are you doing? Thanks for coming through. What were you gonna say, Jason? Nothing. This isn't really go out and find this book. This is more of just like, this was like one of my favorite books when I was reading as a kid. It's the Marvel put out a bunch of trade paperbacks for every single Age of Apocalypse series. I loved that series, man. I didn't really know much about comic books when I read these books. I just thought it was cool to have like a different perspective of like, Charles Xavier is like killed and like Apocalypse takes over and it's the end of the world, that type of thing. It was really fun, just kind of time for me reading comic books. They put out these gold variant trade paperbacks out, and they're really like, I think they're pretty tough to get in high grade because the paper is kind of flimsy and it's a trade paperback and it's gold foil, right? You get fingerprints all over it, but they go for like $50 raw. I saw 9.8 listed currently for like $200. I just thought it was just kind of a fun thing to have. Like this, really, I'm not like, oh, buy this for $199. It's going to be worth like $1,000 in 10 years. This is literally just like, I see this book. It was a good time, when I was a kid, and it brings me back to like that nostalgia kind of phase. I'll start with Jason here. Jason, have you heard? Did you ever read any of these Age of Apocalypse books? And then have you ever seen or heard of this trade paperback variant?
I've never seen this trade paperback variant. I remember a little bit about the series, but I feel like with X-Men, I might have dropped off. I don't remember what number book it was, but I don't think I had ventured into these ones all that much. It was just more the main series. Through the Claremont run and all that.
And Brad, I don't know if this kind of this is like past what you read, but did you ever read this book at all?
I've got some of those along the way, not the gold, but that from that run. I was trying to think when you were saying that what my sweet spot was. Well, it was probably like late 80s, early 90s was when I was kind of I like the X-Men. I pulled that stuff. I was trying to remember who was doing the covers at the time. I mean, Jim Lee would have rolled in later, but up to that point, that was Mark Silvestri was doing a bunch of those.
Sure.
So so that was more kind of when I was and I think I'd taken, this was one of my several hiatuses that I took, was kind of during, because this was this like late, when was this? Late 90s or?
It was like late 90s, because I was like in high school, I think, at the time. Yeah, middle school. Joe Mad did one of the covers for he did the Amazing X-Men, I want to say. He did like the War Child character. I just thought these teams were so crazy, man. Quicksilver was like the leader of the Amazing X-Men, and so I became I dove into that old school like Quicksilver. I just want to know about him and stuff. But yeah, again, don't go out and buy these and expect to make some money on these ones. These are just purely just kind of a fun kind of nostalgia PC kind of thing. And yeah, they're fairly cheap. If you are interested in them as kind of a spec thing or what have you.
Seems like the type of book you could be patient on and just kind of keep your eye and track it and just be really patient and maybe snag one for a good price if it's something that interests you.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's one listed for $199.99. It's a 9.8, and I'd offer him $100 for it, but I wouldn't go more than, just because it's I think of it as a poster to put in my room, that kind of thing. So, I wanted to Comics and Tortillas. Did you guys hear about this? Secret Wars #5 blasted 250.
So that's the Deadpool.
Yeah, that's the book that was laying on the ground.
$250 for that book? Seriously?
I didn't see it. I did not see it going that high.
Wow. What were you gonna say, Jason?
Yeah. I said I think that's probably a 9.8.
Okay. I was raw.
That was a raw copy. Yeah. I said I think the raw copies had jumped all the way up to 50, 60, maybe 75-ish.
Yeah. Man, I'll just say this
understand it.
Huh?
Well, I said I didn't understand it though when it happened, because I was just I read that run and I was I don't remember anything special about that book other than the fact that they had it laying there on the ground in the trailer.
Yeah, for 2 seconds, right?
It wasn't there's no character premiere, there's no nothing. It's just kind of one of the books in that freaking 8 or 9 book run they had.
I mean, I guess it's cool for the LCSs, but
if they were paying attention, I mean, that's the thing. How many?
I saw I think Dennis had 50 of them in his warehouse or whatever, and I mean, he's a retailer, so that puts food on his table, and all that. But I mean, obviously, you guys know, I wouldn't go digging for I don't get excited when I see stuff like that anymore. It just doesn't excite me. I wouldn't even go digging for it for my own personal collection, because yeah, anyway. But that's cool. I guess if you got 250 for it, that's pretty cool. I talked about this book last week, and actually I hit up Aaron Yee because I was seeing if he has one in 9.8. This is kind of the combination of collector, I loved chromium back in the day, like in the 90s. Like everything chromium I bought, it was kind of lenticular or whatever, right? Yeah, Doc Joe, that's what I'm talking about, man. I love this book. I like it better than the newsstand. I like it better than the direct edition. And honestly, like I'm gonna piggyback on what I said last week. I feel like even though this is a reprint, it's a chromium cover, so it hits nostalgia for me. It's the it's a Todd McFarlane. It's considered probably his best cover or his most. I wouldn't say best cover. It's probably his most recognizable cover amongst like non-comic book collectors or whomever. It's Venom, who is arguably one of the best, first appearance characters of the 90s. The buy-in for this is like $900, but I feel like this has more potential to go up. Like it has potential to go up because it is even though it's a reprint, it is an ASM 300. However, you want to get a high grade in this. It's just that the fact that again a high grade ASM 300 either in direct or newsstand edition, it's a lot of money to get in, and there's a ton of reprint or there's a ton of copies of those books too. But that's just kind of that's just kind of how I feel about it. I like it. I just want it because I loved those chromium covers they did, and yeah, that's kind of what I think about. Pickles, what do you think about this book? Chromium specifically.
Chromium.
Yeah,
I dig it. I like it. I like it better than foils for sure. The back to it is pretty unique for a chromium as well. Like I dig that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you were going to get a variant of the 300, I'd get this. But like you said, it's a little pricey. What is it? Still around 1,200 or so for a 9.8.
I saw one go for $850, $900 for 9.8, and they're tough. I mean, because like the thing with the chromium covers is like, even after they're put on shelves, they'd rub against each other, and so the chrome ink would kind of like rub off, and so they're not 100% 9.8. It's hard to get a 9.8 in this book. So
always seemed like the staple kind of stress that the chromium was so thick. There's some staple stress there too. It seems like.
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly, like it's harder to get 9.8 in this book than it is the direct edition. Because you can't really manipulate it. Like I know Chungy, you may be able to touch on this, but I've never pressed a Chrome book, and I won't even attempt to do it, just because there's just so much to go. I don't know enough to press a Chrome book, but I'd feel more comfortable pressing an ASM 300 direct edition, So, I think it'd be badass if you got Tom McFarlane to sign this book too. I mean, compared to the newsstand or the direct edition, but yeah. And I just thought, it's arguably the third most valuable ASM 300, and I think that's another reason I like this book. So, anyway, all right. Next up, we're about 45 minutes into the show. Thanks everyone for coming through a little bit later on a Sunday. I know with baseball is starting up pretty soon. My Mariners are I don't know what they're gonna do this year. Jason, what do you think they're gonna do this year?
I think they'll keep it interesting. We didn't get worse.
It's very safe thing for you to say. It's very safe.
Well, I mean, we won't spend any money because of that stupid contract that we have with the Root Sport or the local station. So
we won't spend any money because our owners are cheap. That's why.
Well, because they're worried about the fallout from their contract that they signed with the local broadcasting companies or whatever.
I feel like every single baseball owner is worried about the local contracts they signed with.
I'm like
it wasn't just us. It was like I heard Chicago, like the White Sox are kind of worried about that. Yeah.
Let's just hire the guy from the Dodgers. He likes to spend.
Yeah, and defer it.
Get in here and get some guys in here, man.
Southpaw, I always forget, man. Are you a Cubs fan? Is that your team?
Braves. So I'm eager to see what our new left fielder is going to do.
Oh, Kelenic? He's going to be he's either going to break someone's face or he's going to hit 80 home runs. One or the other, I think. I think
be hurt
with him. What's that?
Yeah, hopefully not get hurt. That would be
yeah.
Braves seem to have some luck with like guys coming back from injuries and not overdoing it and stuff. But he definitely, if his ceiling is high enough that they're super interested, and he was worth taking a shot on. And we, his ceiling is higher than what we had there previously. And of course, Ronald Acuna Jr., like the most slept on MVP I've ever seen, it seems like.
Yeah. I think you're good with Kelenic. He was off to a hot start last year. He was doing pretty well. I think it's funny because before J-Rod came out, shout out Commander Cody. If you look at like top 100s before like 2022, Kelenic was our number one prospect. He was supposed to be J-Rod. And then, J-Rod came about and like kind of took over. So I feel like his psyche was kind of messed with a little bit.
Didn't we trade for Kelenic? Wasn't he originally on an East Coast team?
Yes. Yeah, the Mets.
Okay, that's what I thought.
We traded Diaz for him. And so we lost that trade. Well, I feel like we did okay because we got rid of Cano. But anyway. I think it was a good value for both teams. Next book, Jedi versus Sith, #1, the Dynamic Forces variant. 9.8s are impossible in this book. And I've talked about this book in the past on other shows, but it's mostly because this gold foil around here, right here, I don't know if you guys can see that. Hold on. The gold foil around here, it can be messed with. Like I've gotten a 9.6 in this book. Everything was perfect with around the cover and all that, but I was called out for speckles around the book. The gold would chip off. So the last time I saw 9.8 for this book, it did not sell because the guy wanted like $5,000 for it. And yeah, I think people know this book. Doc Joe got a shitty 9.6. Yeah.
It's CGC busts out the magnifying glass when it comes to that gold foil, but they'll like a couple spine ticks, you're good.
Yeah. It's the 9.6 that I had, you could see it from like the cover. And so it's kind of like, yeah, well, whatever. I'll take a 9.6. I think I made like $200 on the book. But man, yeah, dude, like there's the premium between 9.6 and 9.8 is huge. And it's because of that damn gold foil being flicked off or whatever. Brad, I can see you kind of looking at this pretty carefully. Have you seen this book or even heard of it?
Well, I was actually looking it up while you were talking about it. Yeah, there's a dude that wants $5,000 for a 9.8.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, what does the census look like? So 9.6, there's 22 9.6s. There's 3 9.8s.
Yeah. It's a ghost 9.8, if you will. So yeah, last 9.8 in 2022 sold for, which I think is a great deal if you're a Star Wars like lore collector. And it's a Dynamic Forces variant, right? So Dynamic Forces obviously isn't around anymore. But like I think this book, arguably Fedora, I'm gonna kind of hit back at you on this one, my man. This story is so important to like the history, in my opinion, of Star Wars, because Darth Bane's first appearance is in this book, and the story of the Rule of Two is told within this book. So forget the the option news, forget that Darth Bane is going to show up in the Star Wars universe. The whole concept of the Master and the Apprentice is explained in this book. And I think it's like 500 years before the Skywalker saga. So that's why I think this gets a lot of collectors excited about this particular book. I read the whole series. It's my favorite comic book run in any Star Wars book. I think if you're a Star Wars fan or just like good reading, like just read this series. It's really, really good. Acolyte series comes out in June. Cool. I don't know if any Jedi versus Sith characters are in it, but that's cool. What were you gonna say, Jason? Excuse me.
I'm just waiting on that Isaac Asimov Foundation spec to start hitting.
Isaac who?
Isaac Asimov. He's the one who's credited with actually starting like a lot of the shit that Star Wars ran with. He did in his original novels foundation. Like he was kind of the one that came up with like the Force and like all that stuff, and Star Wars kind of went with it.
Hey, thanks, Cody. Your pick is coming up soon. Are you talking about is Foundation that Star or Apple show?
They did a show about it, yeah. Or they're doing a show. I think it's still in motion, but because I think Isaac Asimov wrote like 3 novels or something like that.
Oh, cool.
In the Foundation series, and then that George Lucas and them used that and adapted it into Star Wars, like took some of the principles from that, and then that directly correlated to Star Wars.
No, I mean like I started,
but it was a joke. I don't think there's actually going to be Isaac Asimov shit hitting.
Well, I was like, who's Isaac Asimov? I was like, what'd you call me? You know, that's kind of what I thought. Brad,
Mariners
Brad,
lost.
Are you Star Wars fan?
I am. I mean, I went to see the first movie in the theater when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it was everything. I mean, I had to have the authentic. I probably drove my parents crazy, dude, because you get into something and you've got to have like, I had to have the actual that movie poster, had to have it. So but then I get into comics and we start, you start watching people on YouTube and Discord and all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't know shit about Star Wars, dude.
Yeah,
I thought I was a fan. There are some savant, like there's some damn Star Wars Rain Men in our Discord, like spouting off like all kind of history and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't have time to catch up to. I'm just going to trust whatever they blindly trust whatever they say, because I don't have time to do the research to.
They've like deep dived into like they've read the novels, like every like
and
thing of Star Wars, like I was like, I've seen all the movies like a lot. I read a lot of the comics, but that's about it.
The different like when the eras fall and stuff, I don't know any of that stuff, so I don't. I'm very careful to say I've enjoyed it because like whenever you think back to your youth and or your adolescence, those things that moved you so much, like really shook the foundation of like what you like. That was Star Wars was one of those things for me. That was and I think that's something we all like to reflect on.
Sure.
Is that nostalgia stuff.
I'd say probably all the way up until Jurassic Park came out. So like the kids that grew up after Jurassic Park,
right?
Anything before that, Star Wars was still like blew your mind as far as like the special effects, like what they were doing, the concepts about it, like all that stuff. And then it's like Jurassic Park came out. They had those super realistic dinosaurs in with people. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, now the game's changing a little bit more.
Dude, that's a great call, Jason. Because I remember when I saw Jurassic Park, every kid was like, have you seen Jurassic Park yet? Have you seen Jurassic Park yet? And every kid I remember was thinking like, they looked real. Like the special effects were amazing. Like, that's like, and I think at that time and that age, I just, I fell into that age. I started to go see movies more often because movies like Jurassic Park, not so much E.T., but yeah, Jurassic, like good storytelling. And like I started watching like at a really young age. I watched The Godfather, like I think I was 12, but I didn't really get all of it. But that's kind of one of the movies that kind of got me into watching, stuff. Brad, I would say definitely like with me in Star Wars, and this is why this hits for me again, is I'm like you're like a historian, right? So I was like, I wonder how they came up with like, why is there only like 2 Siths? How, like, where does that concept come from? Or like you can research all the different Darths. So I always like to see who the villains are, right? And I would just read like kind of a snippet of like when they were, around and what they did that was so like synonymous with evilness. And that's how I found out about the series, was like, oh, Darth Bane comes up with the concept of 2 because he didn't want other Siths to like take over. He wanted to be the number 1. So he's like, well, if I make this rule, then I can kill off everybody else. And it's pretty good. and it's a really like I would say it's kind of an emotional series, honestly. But yeah, check it out. I'm sure you can get a paperback somewhere. TPB.
When
I
you
think we
when
only
you
have
guys
like
mentioned Jurassic Park, the
yeah.
sound, like seeing that in the theater and the sound, like the
Oh,
surround
the
sound in
sound.
the
Yeah,
theater. God, man,
yeah.
that was
The
amazing.
the Jeep scene where like where they're running or they're driving away from the T-Rex and he's like in the mirror. Yeah, dude, I can watch that all day. Oh, they're still around. I didn't know, man. Sorry, I thought the Dynamic Forces was done. Oh, what's up, Hack? Y'all gotta follow Hack on YouTube. He's got some good stuff going on. Dude, Hack, I was just in Prosser. I drove by Grandview. I said a little peace sign. Maybe I'll see you one of these days, man. We'll meet in person. This one's Sonic the Rare mini comic, kind of going back to the video games again. This was given away as a promo from what I read to support both the Sega game and the Nintendo game or whatnot. It's a mini comic book again. 9.8s or just high grades in this book are impossible to find, but I saw 6.5s go for like 300. I don't know if you try like break the CGC and send it over to Chungy and get it pressed up to 7.0, 7.5 and flip that, or I am not. I'm only going to one con this year with this jackass below me. We're gonna go to Puyallup and go to SummerCon this year. Wait, are you
attack me?
What?
So why you got to attack me?
Because you're a jackass.
He used to be going with the jackass below him. Now the jackass below him doesn't want to go with him. So
yeah, I'll just go, but I won't be with you.
I'm gonna be like, wait, we're friends.
Like, get
Jason,
off
let
me,
me get on your
you.
back. Jason piggybacked me around the con.
Yeah. Jason, I'm drunk. Help me. Anyway,
one of those little front-facing baby carriers.
Oh my gosh.
Like, don't you be spilling any drinks on me.
Hey, I paid money to see that.
He like pats my head to like calm me and stuff. I just picture that. Anyway, yeah, so this is a mini book. It's really hard to get in high grade. I just love it because it's Sonic. I don't know. I think I'd risk buying a 6.5 for $300 and maybe a little bit lower and then try and cracking it. I think this is definitely a nostalgia type of play. Kids still know about Sonic, so it has that longer term kind of push. I would definitely get this and hold on to it. I wouldn't flip it. The movies are great and everything, but the game is really what keeps the nostalgia of this series going. Fellas, what do you guys think about this?
Yeah. Like, it's weird too. So like the concept of video games have changed so much that like it's weird to me that like characters like Sonic, Mario Brothers, stuff like that, where the games were pretty simple. I mean, Sonic, all you had to do is like run from left to right and not die and collect rings. Yeah. Like essentially, like it wasn't a hard concept, but the game was fun enough and the character has like it's just weird that characters like that stand the test of time, whereas they've come up with these super complex games now and nobody really like there's no characters that kind of carry like the test of time with the exception of a couple, but even then like I would say like Assassin's Creed would fall into like it's gone at least a decade or more with the games. The problem is the character changes, so
yeah,
it's never the same,
right? And it's like
this
go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the two you mentioned, Jason, are the two that, is there any other games that span a wider, like multi-generational gap from like little kids to adults who played that when it first came out on Sega Genesis? I mean, that's a pretty wide gap. I don't know if anything other than like Mario and Sonic have done that.
There's only there's maybe two that come to mind, but they're more abstract and they have a loyal fan base. But anytime anything comes out that's associated with them, they go for it. Would be like Crash Bandicoot and Toe Jam and Earl. I don't know what it is about those two games as well, but like if there's any new property in the gaming world, granted it doesn't translate over into comics all that much because I don't think those have any comic value, but for the games, like people go crazy for those. and they came out on the original Genesis, I believe.
And the other variable, is like it's kids, male and female, up to. I mean, there's no. You can take the sex completely out of the equation. It's just generational because both boys and girls play that. And have played both. That and Mario. So. Yeah, that's an issue.
And like Brad, when you said Brad, I mean it hits like right there. I mean, I think Sonic came out in the 80s, maybe at least the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s. So I mean that's
launched with the Genesis.
What's that?
I said I think it launched with the Sega Genesis. I think it was the springboard game.
That was their Mario, right? Did the Sega Genesis come out in the 90s or the 80s? Early 80s? Do you guys know?
90s, I want to say.
Yeah, I think like early.
It was either late 80s, early 90s, because it coincided with the Super Nintendo, or at least those were the two like games that were competing together.
Yeah, because I played all those hockey games, man. Those hockey games for the Genesis, where you can make their heads bleed. That was
yeah. Hartford the Whale.
Yeah. The Whalers.
I just thought that was cool. I mean, there is a reprint of this book as well. It came out a few years later. That's full kind of deal. And Doc Joe and Fedora, they mentioned first appearance of Shadow. I didn't know if that I was gonna put that in, but I didn't know if that really fell in the category of what we were talking about as far as like rare misprint type of books. And I talked about it before, so I was like, oh, I'll try this one out. It's kind of like, it launched with, the series. So that's why I picked it. But I love that book a little bit more than this one for sure. So
Ferd, how were those given out? That you said it was a giveaway to promote. How was it distributed?
So supposedly it was distributed as like, I don't know if it was a pre-order or like, when you bought it, you got like you remember back in the day, like if you bought something, you get like a bag of crap or something. I think that's how it was given away. What'd you say, Jason?
You said a bag of crap?
Yeah.
They was giving out bags of crap, huh?
What's Jason sipping on over there? He did not. He did.
Basil Hayden.
All right.
Oh, Southpaw's like, okay, all right.
Take Ferd one. Run one over to Ferd's house.
No, don't, please. Please don't do
that. It's kind of like it's kind of the one if I'm ever at the liquor store and looking for something new and I can't, I go with Basil Hayden only because it's like dirt cheap at ours for some reason. Like it's usually a $60 bottle somewhere, but like at Total Wine, it's like $27 or Costco.
I might have some recommendations for you. I like a little higher proof. I think that one stays a little. I'd like to see that at a higher proof, actually, but not to derail Ford's show because he feels like crap, and we keep getting off the tracks here.
I'm actually feeling better now, so it's fine.
Good.
Ford just needs to go get some friggin' some greasy burgers in him, and he'll be good.
I had pho earlier today, and I think that greasy burger call is kind of what I'm going for. That's
what I'll be doing after this. I'm gonna go get myself a friggin' something.
Where are you going? Where are you gonna go? Huh?
I don't know. I'm gonna research it and find out.
I kind of want like an omelet. I'm sorry. I'm derailing this. I want to thank Cody for this suggestion here. Gotham City. I've been to I can't type or spell sirens, not sirens. Number one, the 1 in 50. He found a ratio. He found a raw. I went for $250. Last price sold, I think, yesterday or today. This is a beautiful book, man. I'm not a Harley Quinn like huge fan, but if I was, this would probably be like the cover for me based off ratio. Oh, it ended at 280. Never mind. Damn. And what's up, Comics Embraced? I might have something for you on this list at the end.
Gotham City Sirens #1, like OnlyFans variant.
Yeah, Jason got to sip more liquor, man. He's got some good jokes today.
Yeah, I know.
But
coming out of the shell a little bit.
It's a cool cover, fellas. What do you guys think about this? About the the ratio and probably like this is a early 2000s or 2010s book, so it's probably like not that big of a print run, right? What do you guys think about this?
It's gorgeous. Who did it? Who is that?
That's what I was gonna say.
I forgot. Let's see.
Cody.
Here. Cody probably knows, but
is it supposed to be kind of like a pinup cover? Because it like that, I'm assuming that it looks like a hot rod that they're kind of posing near.
Yeah, that's what kind of reminds me of. I mean, the depth of the cover is cool. It's done by Jeffrey Glenn Jones, JG Jones.
JG Jones.
Yeah. Jason, you're probably right. It probably uses that kind of inspiration as like a lowriders like kind of cover, right? That's kind of
like it just kind of reminds me like the poses that they're in with the hot rod. It reminds me of like kind of those old pinup like calendars and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean 250, 280. I mean for in today's market, like these are the kind of books you guys want to quote unquote invest in.
Because that's 250 raw,
280 raw.
Oh, 280 raw, damn.
Yeah, pretty fun read too. And like Cass was talking about last week, she's a huge Harley Quinn fan. I wonder if Harley Quinn fans even know about this book or the series, and that might, push them to research a little bit more and try and find this book. I think it's a great investment, honestly. I think I wish I had a Doc Joe type collection where he just has those like amazing variants that are always going to stay like pretty hot. It's kind of it's very like comic book collector like niche, but that's where the market's going back. It's going back to those comic book collectors as opposed to the speculators, in my opinion, is because this book just sold for $280, man. That's crazy.
Plus Sonic's in it too, right?
What's that?
Is Sonic in this book? Like your last bullet point.
Is it the Sonic book to get? He's the one creating those flames on the hot
you get a full pass today, Ferd. It's okay, man. Full pass, dude. You're good.
Brad's face is like, do I call him out? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do
it. It was brewing, and I was like, yeah, I gotta roll with it. I gotta do it.
The next book is going to have the same bullet point. Like, is it the Sonic book to get?
Exactly.
Like, yes, it is. Like solid.
Hey, see that
like
Sonic show Ferd and Jason put out?
Fuck Sonic all you guys, dude.
Like people watching this, there's like, oh goddamn, like Sonic's in this shit. First appearance in DC.
Sweat under here.
First appearance.
His embarrassment of sweat is under my shirt.
Right I bet your whole room smells like tequila right now. That whole room you're in smells tequila.
So real quick, I was playing basketball with like the little kids, and my like niece-in-law or like my wife's niece, she's like, have you been drinking? And I go, yeah. And she's like, I don't like the way your breath smells.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
She's like, why like I'm an alcoholic?
Did you at least like swap the ball away and then
there's one of the littlest one. She's like the cutest little thing, man. She's got these chubby little cheeks. She was like, it was like 2-on-4, right? And she's got the ball, and she's trying to shoot the ball, and I just get that shit out of here. Yeah. And I was like, you're garbage. You're garbage. Get that shit out of here. And she was cracking up. That was the funniest thing ever. Because I was joking.
I always tell kids, I'm like, if you want me to play with you guys, I was like, I don't take it easy. Like I will play hard. Like
no
I'm gonna
mercy.
I'm gonna drive you to the hole.
I was like that. Yeah. Anyway, well, cool. I want to thank Cody for that. Man. Shout out to Cody for that. What's that?
It said I'm gonna put you on my shoulder and back you down to the hoop and
dude, I was backing him in like Karl Malone's or like Charles Barkley style, just like fucking Anyway, I think we only got a couple left here. I thought this was kind of this might be a nice one for people in the chat. I don't know. 8 billion GDs #1, the Din variant. So this is quote unquote rare. There's only 88 copies of this book. There's one on eBay for $150. Now, man, Jason, I mean, when we started the show, like you had an 8 billion genies, the Bird City variant, and that was the hot book at the time, which is almost like a year a few months ago, which is crazy to me. Now that there's a little bit of, kind of, I don't know, the frothiness from this series has kind of cooled down a little bit, right? This might be a nice little buy-in. I'm not mad at I saw one go for like $50 the other day. That's pretty good for 88 copies of a book. I don't know the census count on this, but I'm at let's just say that all 88 were graded and then half are 9.6s and half 9.8s. That's still like 49.8s of a rarer book. Fedora was actually messaging me this morning. He was saying how he ran into a guy from China, and he was saying that the Chinese are crazy, like crazy about 8 billion genies. It's cooled off a ton over here, obviously, just from the sales and all that. Option news is kind of like whatever. I don't know. I wouldn't mind risking like 35 to $40. I'm being kind of cheap on that and send it to Mr. Chungy, get impressed and getting 9.8 and just holding on to it. Fellas, what do you guys think about the series potential? And do you like that kind of flip? Maybe not really flip, but like kind of a wait and hold and just hope kind of deal? $40 buy-in?
Maybe at a $40. I mean, I this is actually the first time I've ever seen this variant, which is kind of crazy because I thought I'd seen all the variants for that book.
Sure.
But like, yeah, maybe. Like depending on the copy.
I mean, it's a lot better than a Secret Avengers
from
5.
Amazon, isn't it?
Huh?
Is it still optioned from Amazon, or that was the thing when it was first selling hot, was like it was optioned from Amazon, but I don't even know. I haven't heard anything on that.
So I don't know if this is insider info or just like kind of basic knowledge, but when I asked Cooper about this series, he's like, I know that the writer that they tied towards this, or director, someone they tied towards this, he doesn't fuck around. And so if he's tied to a project and it's by Paramount, for example, or Amazon, who I think it's Amazon, right?
Yeah, it's Amazon.
So it's he's like, if he was to put money on it, it's not a flip of the coin. It's like, it's pretty much good to go. It's more like when he has time to do it. So I feel like it's
Well, I think people like the series enough that it would have a following.
Well,
I'm not sure if it was still moving forward or not. I hadn't heard anything about the wheels turning on it at all. Although,
yeah, I mean, I think what we don't know is like comic book collectors, because like we just aren't in that, in the know, is that I think the strike really pushed a lot of things back. I mean, obviously with Marvel. So if a big studio like Marvel is being pushed back, I mean, Amazon's pretty big, but I mean, they don't just do videos, they do other stuff. So I assume that the contracts are still in place, but it's just the work hasn't been done yet. What's that?
I was going to say, maybe we just got spoiled coming out of the writer's strike right away, because it was like everything that was ready to go before the writer's strike was all of a sudden, they're like, we can announce this now. And it was like, boom, 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 boom. All these shows came out. And then we were like, so when is this going to come out and this and that? And now that it's kind of hitting back into its normal pattern of things, I think people are just kind of anticipating stuff to come out.
Yeah. And again, I think, even though it just got optioned, they still have to find a writer towards it. They have to find like actors and all that. So, but like I said, our buddy Cooper was like, no, the guy who's tied towards this, like he doesn't just, no, he's like, yeah, I'm going to do the project. Brad, did you ever spec on 8 Billion Genies, and what do you think about this book?
I was so behind. I really liked it blew up, it surprised everybody. Because wasn't this, I'm trying to remember if up to this point, if Image was like, they weren't doing multiple printings, and then all of a sudden they kind of broke that rule with this, I believe, is the
shitload of printings.
It went to 5 printings for issue 1. So they were like, hey, we're, our comic books are the most reasonably priced comics out there, but money's money. We're going to, this thing is hot, and we need to capitalize on it.
Exactly.
So, the best paper and the best prices, bar none, in my opinion, Image Comics, but they probably deserve to recoup some of their some of their money on the additional printings on this. I love the premise of the story, though. I think it's cool. It's a great title to, like, put a marker on it and like, hey, we got dibs on this. And then if that Cooper said is accurate, then yeah, why not? Because I mean, I think 150 is cheaper than that. Might be a little cheaper than like what cover A #1 is selling for.
Right. Yeah. And
I've seen some cover A #1s in 9.8 sell for higher than that.
Yeah, and I think it's cool that there's only 88 copies of this. Kind of coincides with the book, but yeah, and like it's those people always talk about buy on the dip, right? I think it's the best opportunities are the ones that no one's thinking about, and I haven't heard anyone talk about Bill and Genies in a long time, and so that's why I want to bring it to the show. And even on eBay, like no one's really biting at prices right now, so you might be able to get a discount. I mean, I would offer like $30 for a pretty good copy of this. I feel like CGC is pretty liberal as far as like their grades on this paper, which is something else to take into account on these books. But yeah, I think it's not a bad buy-in if you can get in cheap. I probably wouldn't pay 150 for a 9.8, but I'd offer $100 for it and just see what happens. And if it doesn't work out, you can always just try and sell it back for whatever.
Right now, they only have the hardcover edition, like the trade. It's only in hardcover right now. So cover price of that hardcover is $39.99.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad.
I'd like to go back and read it though, and you can probably find that for cheaper. But
yeah, I wonder. Like, it's hard for me to find Dark Horse or like Image like trade paperbacks, especially Image. You got to go to the bookstore, I guess. Ugh, but whatever. Next one. This is like a book that like when I got back into collecting, I saw this book. I think it's from 2003. Transformers, the OTFCC variant. So it's basically like a Transformers convention back in the early 2000s. This book is considered the Transformers Grail, if you will. It's really tough to get in high grade because the back of this book is all black. So, I mean, it's a beautiful cover. I'm not a huge Transformers like newer universe fan. I'm liking the series now, but I just thought of like, okay, so the success of this new Energon universe is picked up pretty good. I bet you collectors are going to be like, oh, I wonder what cool Transformers, G.I. Joe variants that I could buy from, these earlier issues that maybe not necessarily to have like a relation to the new series, obviously, but would be cool to add to that collection. I don't know if like younger kids are going to gravitate towards G.I. Joe and Transformers like we do, but in any event, I thought this was like, man, it'd be so cool to have this book. $1,600 in high grade on eBay, not CGC graded. And I haven't found a 9.8 sale in a while. I don't know if anyone wants to look it up, but yeah, this is kind of a tough book to get in general, but in high grade, it's really, really tough. Brad, have you heard of this book before? And are you a Transformers fan at all?
I do like the Transformers. I like the movies. And the animated show. I don't remember seeing this book though. I don't recall seeing this, and I haven't jumped on the Daniel Warren Johnson latest run yet either. But I would like to. I do like his work. But it seems like they're doing enough Transformers stuff to keep that next generation into it if they can, just like stay out in front of them and keep producing something that's worth seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I was I was 4 or 5 years old when Transformers was kind of my theme, but I remember like my older cousins were hardcore Transformers fans. And I just watched reruns of what they already watched. And I loved the toys and all that. And then I actually was watching Beast Wars, and that was kind of like, I was a little bit older, but I was like, I still dig this. This is kind of a cool cartoon to watch, right? Jason, would you say that, in your opinion, because I know you're way better at like reviewing movies than me, would you say that the movies that have come out the past few times, do they make sense? And would you think it'd be cooler to have like a new cartoon series on like Netflix or any of the streaming like networks. I think that would be better for the brand in general.
I think that the Transformers universe would really benefit from an X-Men 97 kind of style reboot. Like hit it with the same original kind of the original artwork, because that's what I grew up on, was the original TV series, like the animated show. And so like I do remember all those, and I remember watching all those. Same with G.I. Joe and all that stuff. So I think that they would benefit from something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The movies have done well, I believe. I haven't seen all of them. I think the last maybe couple I probably haven't seen.
Yeah.
But I think that they could do well with an animated kind of pick me up, I guess.
Yeah, and I think I was thinking other thing too. I think Transformers is a Gen millennial thing, though. At least early millennials, like myself and Jason. But I get where you're coming from too. This is crazy. Look at the prices for this. 9.6 in April 2019. So that was like pre-pandemic prices. But 9.4 sold for 4,500 in May of 2023. That's insane. So the guy who sold the 9.6 and there's one 9.8 out of 5 graded books. That's a ghost. This is a tough book to get. So happy hunting. And I don't know if our Spawn friends are in the chat, but these are ones that I wanted to buy, like on, like, when I'm thinking of like, I want to sell, kind of going back to that last show we did, but like, books that I don't have books like those that could sell for $900 or whatnot that I want to get rid of. But these are books that, like, yeah, I would take losses on some of the CGC books I have, and I'd buy these. G.I. Joe 21, the variant from IDW, I guess it was a silent issue that they just kind of reprinted, but that cover is just so badass. It goes for like $250, $300 in raw. That G.I. Joe is silver, so I think that's just kind of tight about it. I'm trying to complete my Ages of Atlas 9.8 series. It's just a PC theme for me. I want that Zercher 1 in 50, but man, I do not want to pay $500 to $600 for that 9.8. I pay maybe like $250, $300, because I just don't know if the Ages of Atlas are ever going to come to the MCU. It's just kind of a tough one. This one I thought was pretty cool. Metal Gear Sons of Liberty sketch foil. Goes for like $350 to $500 in raw. It's beautiful, man. Again, that Metal Gear Solid is the print is also in foil. I really like that font. And then for you Spawn lovers, this Spawn variant, I forgot what number it is, but it's by, oh shit, who's the Italian artist that? I think it's Delato. I can't remember. I almost put a 280 in there, but I couldn't do it. Matina, there you go. Thank you.
Oh.
Bayformers. Oh, okay. That's cool. Go ahead, Jason. What were you going to say?
I wasn't going to say anything, was I? I just said, oh, because you posted put the thing up there.
Oh.
Like, oh.
Oh. Oh. I don't know why you're so mad at me today.
When am I not mad at you?
Oh, that's a good point. I was waiting for. I
start out like every conversation with you angry. like my phone will buzz and I'll look down and see Ferdy on it. I'm like, damn it.
You're such a dickhead. Anyway, what do you, out of these 4, which ones do you guys like? I'll start with Brad.
I like the gosh. So do I just have to pick one, huh?
Just one.
I'm going to say Agents of Atlas.
Cool. I like it. And then do you have? Oh, go ahead.
Because I think I like the casting so far for what's the guy who's been in several movies already, who's going to like head up the team.
Shang-Chi.
No, the in the suit there, the dude.
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
I like the casting for that character. I think it would be a cool. So assuming they do it, I mean, I don't know if they're
Jimmy
I
Woo.
saw an interesting rumor today that Marvel has not like totally closed the door on Kang being the big bad. Like, yeah, I saw something. It's like a scooper who I think does pretty well. Randall Park, yeah, it's Woo. Yeah. Chungy, I'm glad you're here, man. We have really relied on you. We need to put you on the payroll, man.
Chungy might have to like be part of the show, or
he's really doing the.
Plus, he's got the sleight of hand trick down now from Ant-Man. Oh, his character has learned the sleight of trick hand.
Yeah, that's right.
Or he was like stayed with the magic.
I'd probably go.
You probably go with the Age of the Alice.
I'd probably go with that one for that reason. I like. I mean, I think they're all really really nice looking covers.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna do that, Doc Joe. I appreciate you. And then Brad, is there like a book in particular that kind of feeds into this? Like nothing crazy, but like, is there a book you're like, oh man, like I've been waiting for this book, or like I'd sell 10 of these crappy My Little Pony books that I have slabbed for one of these guys?
That was a little jab, wasn't it? Like a little bit. Everybody's gonna think I collect My Little Pony now. Southpaw
feeling better, now he's throwing jabs.
Southpaw Brony, yes. What'd you say, Jason?
I said Ferd's feeling better now, so he's throwing jabs.
Yeah, I know. He's really that hangover's worn off.
I know.
I was nervous when you were saying you were going to ask us this, because I can't think of any really interesting variants or that I'm like seeking out or that I'm really looking for. I can't think of anything. I may think of something after the show, but I can't. Nothing comes to mind.
I should have asked you guys prior to this, so I apologize. It just came to me when I was looking over this, but yeah. I mean, next time you're on the show, we'll re-entertain this question.
Because I think what I said earlier is probably what I would do, and that's maybe like a Bronze or Silver Age key that I've been. That probably is where I would. That's probably where I would lean towards right now. But
yeah, cool. And then Pickles, out of these four, which one do you like, and what kind of variant or like ghost book would you want to put your money towards?
So I'd probably be in the same boat with the Agents of Atlas, just because Swordmaster. But also I do dig that Metal Gear Solid, so it would probably be a neck and neck race for me.
Yeah.
As far as variants that I've been looking for, that's like a modern kind of whatever. Howard the Duck, #2, hip hop variant. Run the Jewels cover. It's I can't find it for less than $500 raw in a high grade. Serious? And like 9/8 are going for well into like I don't know, like upwards of $900 or more. And it's very like I don't see a whole lot of sales. It's always the same people trying to sell their books, but I really want that book. I don't know why. I just love it's a Howard the Duck and Run the Jewels thing for me, because I know they've kind of found popularity more recently within their last couple of albums, but I dig that cover for whatever reason. I just want it. And they have a sketch variant of it too, but I just prefer the actual cover.
I saw the sketch variant, and like that one is way better.
Yeah, I just dig that, him and Rocket.
Yeah. I've always been like, and Fedora says Beneath the Trees 1 in 50. Man, I'm shooting myself. He asked, I remember Fedora was like, do you want me to grab you? This is way before anyone had spec'd on Beneath the Trees. He's like, there's this new, show or this new book coming up. Do you want a variant of it? And I'm like, oh no, don't worry about it. Like, I'll just look for it in my LCS. And he's like, there's no way your LCS is going to have it. They didn't have it. I did end up finding a Beneath the Trees, whatever, but he was saying, if you want a ratio, I'll hook you up or whatever. And at the time I was just like, I'm just not as like keen on like ratio, non-Marvel DC books just for flipping purposes. That's the one time I'll like regret not doing it. But I did get a Captain Marvel before 1 in 25, so I'm happy about that. Yeah, we had 20 live today. We didn't get quite to the amount we needed to do the giveaway, so I'll offer that up next time. But yeah, I want to thank the 20 live that came through. Hit that like button, all that good stuff. Southpaw Brad, thanks for coming on the show. I promise to God we're going to do our Sunset to South show on Wednesday. I think I've calmed down a little bit with work, and we're at a good place to get that going again for 2024. Any closing thoughts? And again, thanks for coming on the show kind of last minute. We appreciate you as one of our guests on the show. But
always a pleasure. Yeah, always a pleasure to hang out with you guys. And every time I watch the show or I hang out with you guys, I learn a little something new. So keep doing what you're doing, and we appreciate you guys.
Cool. Pickles, any closing thoughts? You son of a.
Not after that. I'm gonna come over.
He's ready to
drive
get back
over
to the
there. I'll be there in 10 minutes. I'm gonna slap you in the face.
Just hold him down and make him
over now, man.
Hold him down and make him sniff the cork on the from the baby.
No, please.
Yeah, I'm coming over. I'm pouring booze down your throat.
He literally lives like 10 minutes away. Yeah, next stop 700. Thanks again, everyone, for your support. We'll see Fedora hopefully next week. Again, he had to work today, so but I appreciate him stopping in on the show and making sure we're doing our stuff. That's the show for today. I will be off next week, so I don't know if Pickles or Fedora wants to take over next week's show. I'm going to be in San Diego at a wedding, or Oceanside, I should say. So I'll be gone next weekend. But catch me and Brad on Wednesday on Sunset to South. Catch the Ronin 5 guys on this Tuesday. We'll be doing a show. Thanks again, everyone, for your support. We'll see you next time, and have a great weekend. I am so hungover. I'm going to go to bed. Bye. What the heck? Oh, okay. I'm just getting the stream. God damn
Bird's
it.
broken.